Welcome to the 5% Club podcast, the space where ambitious leaders go to master their careers and their lives. I'm Shayla King, a former C-suite executive turned performance and happiness coach. And this is the podcast for leaders who want it all. The promotions, the paychecks, and luxurious amounts of time for what matters most. Each week, I'll teach you how to work less, make more, and design a life you love. Let's go. Welcome back to the 5% Club podcast. I'm Shayla King, your favorite executive coach. In today's episode, we're covering the performance and happiness formula, my 3 critical areas that you must master to get promoted and actually enjoy success at the executive level. I've seen a lot of leaders work so hard but get stuck in middle management while they watch somebody else who they think is not nearly as skilled or as good get the promotion. We're going to end that. Some people, when they see that, they chalk it up to politics or just bad luck. But in 20 years of sitting in executive hiring meetings and coaching leaders at every level, I realized something. There actually is a clear formula for those who move up and those who stay stuck. And most people, they're working on the wrong things. I had to learn this the hard way myself when I was stuck in middle management and trying to figure out why my extra effort wasn't doing it. Why getting another big project done with half the team and half the resources and half the spend on half the time wasn't enough. And I realized that what got me here won't get me there. And I started really studying what was different about executives, what they had that I didn't, and what skill sets I'd need to build to get there. And so I was able to figure out what that formula was and make it to the executive level myself and then to the C-suite. And so what I found is that executives don't get promoted because they're the hardest workers. Do you remember me talking about the tragedy of the high performer? If you haven't seen that episode, you need to go back and watch it. I'll link it in the show notes here. But in summary, what it is you start off as this high performer, right? They love you. They give you work. You do great at it. So they give you more and more work. And eventually it gets to be so much work that it's absolutely exhausting, unrealistic. And then things start to fall off because it's just not a reasonable amount of work. At the same time, you're then seen as a doer instead of being a strategic leader. And you definitely don't have capacity to take on the next big strategic project because your plate is already so full. And God, they don't want to promote you because who would they ever have replace you? Right? Like you're doing the work of 2 to 3 people. How would they even do that? So you get stuck in this box of middle management. And today, what I'm going to teach you is the skill sets that you actually need to get out of that box to the next level of executives. So I'm going to teach you what you need to get unstuck and move to the executive level. And it's my formula for performance and happiness. It's what I teach my one-on-one clients and the exact modules that are going to be in my upcoming performance and happiness lab. So you're going to get a sneak peek today. It's not going to be open for several more months. And I know as soon as it opens, it'll fill up. The first round will fill up immediately, just like my one-on-ones do as soon as I announce spots open, which is fun and exciting. But get on the wait list now if you want to be one of the first to know. But you're going to get a sneak peek today. It's going to show you behind the scenes of what I work on with these executives so that they can master the skill sets that you need to be a high-performing executive and be happy in your life. I always break things down to the critical few things. We lose all the fluff. And we talk about what actually matters. So that's what we're going to go through today. And I think people know this, but nobody ever wants to say it. So I'm going to say it. It's not just about performance. What actually determines who moves up, it's not just about performance. It's perception. When I was participating in the executive hiring discussions, I saw firsthand why some people got promoted and others didn't. It wasn't always about talent. It wasn't always about experience. It came down to 3 things every single time. The people who moved up mastered results, relationships, and rituals. The people who stayed stuck, they were grinding away, hoping somebody would notice. So what I'm going to do today is peel back the onion, show you just the core things that you need to know that actually move the needle. So let's jump in. These are the 3 areas that you need to master. First up, results. You need to be seen as an executive, not just a high performer. Within results, we cover 3 key skills that you must build. The first is probably no surprise. The first skill under results that you must build is executive presence. They need to see you as a natural addition to the team. I'm going to actually record for you guys 3 more podcasts, one that will go through each of our 3 sections, which are results, relationships, and rituals. So I'll dive more into why executive presence is important and what we do about it later. But for now, I want you to know they need to see you as a natural addition to the team. It feels like you're playing in the minor leagues right now. They're not going to call you up to the major leagues. And there's a lot of real simple fixes to get out any of the things holding you back. And then other skill sets you can learn to take you to that next level. So we're going to first make sure you're not doing any of the limiting activities, and then we're going to help you elevate it even higher. All right. So the first is executive presence. The second is essentialism. You have to stop trying to do everything and focus on the critical few things that actually drive impact. Those few things at an executive level is very different than at a management level. Instead of diving in and driving those projects forward, you're going to spend a lot more time on relationships, on strategy, on storytelling, and things like that. And in order to do that, you have to hone in on what is really going to make a difference for your organization. And so in order to be a happy and high-performing executive, you have to have discernment. And what you'll end up with is luxurious amounts of time for those things that matter the most. All right, the third and final thing is executive systems, strategy, and storytelling. So if you feel like your work right now is chaotic and hard to keep up with, you're missing a system. You might have had one in the past that you've had a team that really flowed. You felt like you were able to really record what your initiatives were. You were able to have some kind of scorecard to keep track of everything. Everyone knew what they were working on. You had a good cadence of accountability with it. And everything worked from those projects down. What we're talking about now is an executive level system. This means it's going to work every direction. It's going to work between you and your CEO and your C-suite team so that they know exactly what your team is working on and why, and they're bought into your vision. They really see you as a leader who knows how to run a business, and they're never worried about what you and your team are working on or where your resources are being spent, right? You're also going to have alignment across. All of your peers are going to understand what you do, how you work, and what to expect from you and your team. And of course, you're still going to have that system that helps you and your team get the work done. So ask yourself, does my current system make me feel in control, make me appear as a strategic leader, and does it address all 3 directions? This system comes with strategy and storytelling, and it helps you master that as an executive because it's not just about results. It's also about building trust and credibility. All right, so let's recap. Inside of the first modules for the Performance and Happiness Lab, we will go through what you need for executive results, what you need to master to be at the executive level and a high performer. And they are 1, executive presence, 2, essentialism, and 3, executive systems, strategy, and storytelling. If you master those 3 things, you will be playing in a completely different level. That's minor leagues to major leagues right there. That's what matters. If you ever feel like you're doing everything right, but still getting overlooked, this is probably why. And we'll teach you how to make this shift and master executive results. All right, the second part of the performance and happiness formula is relationships. Your influence matters more than your workload. Executives promote people that they trust, not just high performers. So there's 3 skills that you must master in this area. The first is executive networking. You need to build relationships with key decision makers inside and outside of your company. And in what I would ask you to do for today is just simply think about how much time you're spending each week proactively building and deepening those connections. And are they slighted more inside of your company or inside of your function or division, or are they outside as well? And think about the variety that you need within your network. People have to know who you are. So, one of the things that we work on is the image and exposure piece. And executive networking is a critical skill for executives. The second under relationships is executive communication. You need to be able to confidently speak in any setting, meetings, one on ones, big presentations, and to anyone. If the CEO or a board member needs to talk to you, you should be able to do that confidently. What it often comes down to in that gap between middle management and executives is being more concise. Less words, more impact. All right. And the third and final in relationships is personal relationships. So oftentimes leaders are so drained from work that they neglect their personal relationships or don't feel like they can ever be in the moment with the ones they love most. So in the 5% Club, it's not just about the work. We establish and deepen your personal connections as well, so you can improve your happiness. So if you've ever been passed up by someone that you feel is less qualified than you, then this may be the section that is the reason why. You've got to have the relationships with the decision makers ahead of time. You have to have the image and exposure, and people have to know what you want so that they can support you and help make things happen for you. So what we'll do in the Performance and Happiness Lab is we'll teach you how to build the relationships that make you the obvious choice for the promotion. I've mentioned this before, but so many of those decisions are made way ahead of time. They are made before you ever know a role exists. And so people have to know who you are ahead of time. Let's move on to our third and final one, rituals. So you need to have rituals to sustain success without burnout. And a lot of times we just think we're going to work harder and harder and harder, and somehow it's all going to work out. It doesn't just matter if you're a workhorse that keeps your head down and just runs until you die and faint, right? That is not who people are looking towards to be their next strategic leader. They are looking for people who look like they have their shit together, that know how to run a business, and that have energy and an attitude for more. Right? This is the 3 areas that you must master in order to have the rituals you need for executive success. Number 1, physical energy. This is sleep, this is movement, this is nutrition, this is recovery. You need to be able to show up at your best and not be running on fumes. And trust me, people can tell. The second area is emotional energy. This is mindset and stress management and self-leadership. You can't be a great leader if you're constantly overwhelmed. So I want you to think, if I asked you right now, from a 1 to 10, how would you say you feel? The most common answer is usually like a 5, 6, 7. So let's go with 6. So you're a 6. I see a body of a 6. My shoulders are like hunched over. I took a deep breath out. My arms are kind of folded like, ugh. I'm going. I'm getting a lot done. But I'm freaking tired and I'm not really enjoying it. Who wants to be around a 6? Who wants to hire a 6? Who wants to work for a 6? Who wants to date a 6? That is not the energy that draws people in. That is not the energy that inspires confidence and makes people think you are capable of doing more. The energy of doing more is when you're showing up as a 9 or a 10. Challenges are coming, but you're handling them. You've got energy. You've got a great attitude about it. You can joke and be light. If someone can handle serious things and be light, I think they can handle more. If somebody's already so overwhelmed and just feel like dread oozes out of them when things go wrong because they just can't handle anymore, I feel like I need to help them out and take work off their plate, not give them new opportunities. Right? And so much of us have gotten so much work on our plate that that's the position that we're in. So we have to change all of that concurrently so we can get in a better position. And a lot of the base of it starts with your physical energy and your emotional energy. Sometimes we're not taking the most basic care out of ourselves so we can show up. And so we're going to ask ourselves why, and we're going to make a plan to figure out what we need to perform at our highest level. an individualized plan of what rituals you need to feel your best, perform at your best, and be happy. So that includes physical energy, emotional energy, and our third one is cultivating joy. I love this one. In the 5% Club, we're not just going for high performing. We're going to have passions and fun and adventure, right? I freaking love my life. I love my entire life. And some of it is big, exciting things that I put in my schedule and I make sure we do. And it's the trips and the activities. And I like going to different, charity balls. And we're going to like the Matthew McConaughey fashion show next month. And we're going to go to the concert that goes along with that. And having activities like that makes life fun and exciting. And I did the Epic 2025. And one of my activities with that is I'm going to do a hot air balloon this year. And I'm taking my daughter on a 3-day retreat, right? I mentioned that. And some of it is the big stuff like that make my life fun and exciting. And some of it is I'm going for a walk when I get done with this with a girlfriend around the neighborhood. And I have these coffee cups that I absolutely adore. And they're like old lady, like vintage with the blown glass. You know what I mean? They make me so freaking happy, y'all. I pour my coffee in there and I have this like cool Nespresso that makes it layered all pretty. And then I put caramel on top. And lately I've been putting this like healthy salt stuff I got on top. And I hold that cup and I'm just like, I love my life. I look at the windows. I have these giant windows in my living room and I look in the backyard where we have trees forever. And I just think about how beautiful the trees are. I live in Texas Hill Country. And as I'm driving, I'm like, oh my God, I love the landscape here. I moved from Chicago to Texas. I'm also the most grateful person ever for the weather. So I'm always thinking about what a glorious life I have because the sun is shining on me, or feeling so cool that in the middle of December, we were eating outside. Like, when does that happen in all these other states that are cold? And so when I talk about cultivating joy, it's not a little thing or a big thing or any specific thing. What you want out of your life can be completely different than what I want. But what it means is that we're intentional about it. And that we add in, depending on if you're the type of person that likes things to be pre-planned or you like to be spontaneous. Either way, you're intentional about designing it in the way that you want so that you can love your whole freaking life. I talked to a new client the other day who told me that she didn't even connect to the sentence when I asked her to rate herself on how good she does at intentionally planning joy in her life. Oh, that's sad. It's really sad. We're going to get her there. She's going to love her life. And it happens quick. But I want you to think about that. Like, you are at an age in your life. So most of my clients are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, mostly 40s and 50s. And I don't know if that's even true. Now I'm second guessing myself, but 30s, 40s, and 50s. And you have probably made more progression in your career than you ever thought was possible when you were a kid. You've got a spouse, you've got kids, you've got a nice home. You are by all means successful in your career. And you never think about joy. Wild. Why are we doing all of this if not for joy? And another client tell me that he knows that he trades happiness now for perceived happiness later. And let me tell y'all, that does not work. I was 39 when a freak medical accident put me in a coma. I had strokes. I had seizures. I had heart failure. I had pneumonia on top of it all. And every specialist that came in said they had no idea how I could live through it. No one expected me to come back. And there is a chance. There's a huge chance that I didn't. And I got lucky. Really, really lucky. Lots and lots of prayers. And lots of willpower brought me back. And I know in my bones that we cannot trade our happiness now for future happiness because it might not exist. We have to allow ourselves to enjoy the ride. We may not be here. Our loved ones may not be here. We have to let ourselves enjoy the ride. And that is why I am so freaking passionate about coaching on performance and happiness. You will never see a program from me where we only cover career success. Yes, I can help anyone get promoted. I can help anyone make a shit ton of money. I love doing that. But we're never doing it at the cost of our happiness. You will only enhance both at the same time when you work with me, because you cannot tell me that it is not possible, because I've done it, I've lived it, and I do it with my clients. We have a great fucking life while we go for our dreams. And so much of that comes into our final topic, which is mindset. The most successful and the happiest people know how to manage their mind. And that's what I teach you in the program. And that's what I teach my one-on-one clients. So life's going to keep lifing. These challenges aren't going to stop, and stressful situations will always exist. But with the 5% mindset, we don't just react to it. We intentionally decide how we want to think, how we want to feel, and how we want to show up. We fail without shame so that we can keep going faster and faster. We grow our capacity, right? We build resilience instead of burnout, and we cultivate energy instead of chasing time. So mindset is the foundation of everything that I do. We will always talk about both your performance and your happiness, and that's exactly what this formula is designed to do. So in it, you will be able to increase your results, your relationships, and your rituals. It's everything you need to play at the highest level, to be a top performing executive while loving your freaking life. Fun, right? All right. Here is your evolve work for the week. I want you to consider the last promotion you missed or the next one that you want. And which of these 4 areas, results, relationships, rituals, or mindset, do you think the hiring team will be looking for? Remember, it's so much more than just the results and the experience that you've gotten on past projects. What else would they be looking for? And then over the next few episodes, we'll dive deeper into each one. And I'm actually going to take you through a personal assessment so you can see which subcategories, if you address them, will drive the greatest improvement for you. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And so if this episode hit home, if you realized why the things you've worked on in the past haven't worked, or if you see exactly where you need to grow, this is exactly what we do inside the Performance and Happiness Lab. So as always with all my programs, we don't waste time on fluff. We're going to focus on the critical few things that actually move you forward. And that's results, that's relationships, and that's rituals. Now, doors aren't going to open for a few more months. And I'm assuming that like my one-on-one, as soon as I say it's open, that the first round's going to sell out right away. So if you want to get one of those coveted first spots in the Performance and Happiness Lab, then join the waitlist now. You can go to my website, shaylaking.com. It's SHAYLAKING.com, and join the waitlist now. And then what's cool is in the meantime, you're going to get a weekly email from me with actionable tips on things you can immediately apply to improve your results, your relationships, and your mindset. So until next week, friends, let's evolve together. See ya. Thanks for joining me in the 5% Club today. If you're ready to work less, make more, and design a life you love, go to shaylaking.com to join the 5% Club waitlist. Each Monday, I'll send you something you can implement immediately, and you'll be the first to know when applications open for the Performance and Happiness Lab, my group training program designed to accelerate you into a happy, confident executive who loves their whole life. See you there.